Hello and welcome to the Bcamp podcast. We are excited today to have with us Tom Findling, who is the CEO at Conifers.ai. So thank you, Tom, for joining us. We're really excited to have you with us today.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, happy to be here.
And maybe, Tom, to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about Conifers.ai and what you guys are about?
Sure, absolutely. So we're a cybersecurity company, and we just started a little bit more than a year ago, and we are solving the hardest problem in security operations today. So being able to investigate incidents in large scale, both in higher level of effectiveness and efficiency. This is kind of what we're doing. We really help organizations to increase their coverage of detections. We help them to decrease burnout of their employees and just increase the overall quality of their security investigations.
Interesting, very interesting. We'll dig into some of this. But before that, I'm curious just to hear about your story. How did you end up starting Conifers? And you can start as far back as you want,
Well,
wherever's relevant.
Sure, absolutely. So 12 years ago, I started at VMware. And what we did over there was a part of the product team. And we did the orchestrator for the data center. And we used predictive analytics for looking at operations management within the data center. When we're talking about the dates that Amazon was not even the biggest cloud in the block, and VMware was pioneering the public cloud. And one of the most interesting things that we did back then through a series of acquisitions that we did is being able to predict how servers are going to react and what servers are going to go out of business in the data center, and all that using data science of AI. We used a lot of help and support from very smart people, and we were the first data science product for the data center back then. After that, I was in a sustainability startup doing, again, predictive analytics. And after that, most recently, I joined a company called Insights, which was led by a friend of mine, Guy Nissan. And over there, which was a great ride, we did cyber threat intelligence. Eventually, in 2021, sold to Rapid7. And Rapid7, I had plenty of exposure to data science, especially on the threat intel side, and also got a lot of exposure to detection and response and the SOC, as Rapid7 is one of the leading MDR providers in the market today. And basically, the idea for Conifers came from some of the things that I learned and observed back then in Rapid7 and some of the challenges that I've seen, and basically wanted to branch out and solve those problems both for service providers and enterprise organizations.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm just curious, did you talk to Rapid7 and say, hey, I want to solve these problems? Or did it just not make sense to do it within Rapid7? Maybe tell us a little bit about that decision-making process of whether to hey, maybe I try to do this within my current company or go start a company.
Yeah, so on the threat intel side, we actually did a very significant data science project that really helped us to increase both effectiveness and efficiency of the threat intel product line. And then I saw the opportunity in the SOC, kind of looking into all of the components over there. But what I eventually realized is that after working for big corporations like VMware and Rapid7, is that just things are moving a little too slow for me. And after being in the startup world, I realized that I probably want to branch out and have the team that I wanted to put together, and seriously being able to run fast, solve problems. And again, you can't deny it, but sometimes things are moving a little slower in corporate America, and this is why the startup world is still up there, and solving a lot of problems that big corporations having hard time or just to solve, or just kind of solving them a little slower.
Yeah, interesting. Very cool. So maybe tell us a little bit more about specific use cases or something that you address at Conifers digging a little bit deeper, like what's the challenge? What?
Yeah. So, that brings me into a conversation I've just had last week with a security executive, from a very big company here in the United States. And he basically recently onboarded the Microsoft Sentinel Suite. And the minute they onboarded the Microsoft Sentinel Suite, I'm getting hundreds and thousands of new alerts that every day that I did not used to get just, the same time last month. And eventually what happened, they were focusing primarily on the critical and high level alerts that they had in their environment. But unfortunately, they got breached. And when they start running forensics, they figure out that the early warning sign that came very early in the kill chain actually was a low level severity of impossible travel that they ignored as a detection because they were just focusing on the high and critical priority alerts. So basically being able to use AI in combination with the people that you currently have in your team and have the 1 + 1 = 5, it's really what makes the difference. And we were able to go work with this customer and figure out a way and show him our product and get him to see how the AI not just able to help him to increase his coverage, so he would be able to cover not just the medium and high by all of the alerts, actually also increasing its detection level in a couple of other areas, and the results of that proactively being able to catch things much earlier in the kill chain and just prevent those alerts before any significant impact is being done. So this is just one of the things that we've seen, like kind of what we've seen last week. And like I said, it helps you to increase your coverage, like upgrade your quality, and basically help you to achieve what we call SOC excellence, which allow you to sleep better at night, run things in a better way, and really improve the quality of life of everybody's involved. And trust me, being in security operations and in cybersecurity in general, like there is a lot of stress going on all the time, and people just need to decrease the level of stress, but not to increase the level of stress.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting that you focus on this of like improving the quality of life of the security engineers.
Listen, we're all human beings, right? And by the end of the day, we want everybody's lives to be better. We want to get back home 2 hours like earlier, so we will be able to spend a little bit more time with our family and friends and little ones. And we're all stressed because so many different things these days. So if you can reduce the stress level, get people to spend a little bit more time at home with their family and friends, that means the world to a lot of people. And on the way, strategically make organizations to reduce their risk and become more proactive. I think that's the real potential of AI that I see. It's not just the impact on the specific task, but how it's going to improve everybody's lives and get things to operate in a much better way within the combination of humans and AI. Because I don't see humans are getting out of the loop anytime soon, but definitely when it comes to force multiplying them and take a lot of the tasks that they don't want to do off their plate, there is great potential with AI to disrupt what we know today and present a much better future.
Yeah, I love that. And I've talked to several security operations people, and one of the concerns is that the attacks are getting more sophisticated
For sure.
as well because of AI. So how do you think about, I mean, it's great that you're using AI already, to defend against these attacks, but how do you think about that race basically between, malicious actors and
No, that's a great
using
question.
AI?
And what you will find out is that as well as defenders are lagging behind to use AI, attackers are already using AI. So they use AI to scale up their attacks, meaning just having a lot more attacks than what they used to have before, and make them more complex and sophisticated. And there are some instances that we have seen of this actually happening, and it will not be any other way other than defenders to start using AI, and AI starting to be part of the attacker side and then defender side, because when attackers will actually increase their usage of AI, defenders might be, just left behind if we will use their current practices and current automation that they have in place, especially with the level of the sophistication of AI. It's just getting better and better. So absolutely, we see that already. It's a concern for a lot of different people in the industry. And, unlike what we've seen in the past, maybe this time it's an opportunity for defenders to hop on this on this train much faster than what we've done before. So yeah, and we always need to remember, Richard, that for attackers, the AI component or the attack needs to work one time in order for the attacker to penetrate into the organization. The defender needs the defense mechanism to work 100% of the time, or very close to 100% of the time. So, as easy it is for attackers to use AI, defenders needed a lot more of the attackers, because they stretch, very, very thin these days, try to, how should I call it, defend their kingdom in many, many different disciplines across the different verticals that they have to deal with.
Yep. That makes sense. And can you think of any specific things that you've seen from attacks, of how they're using AI?
Yeah, so the most recent one that we've seen, it was actually a very sophisticated phishing attack with a big retailer that probably a brand name here in the United States, like a household name here in the US. And basically what they have seen is that the attacker acquired a mailbox from a retired employee in the dark web. So they got all of his emails and names of servers and systems, and basically they plugged a large amount of the email content of that individual into an LLM, and they asked the LLM to generate an email trail that will ask for permission for a server. And then when the email was produced, and I was one of the lucky ones that got the opportunity to look at this crafted email after it was sent, and unfortunately that retailer was compromised because of this attack. You look at the information, Richard, and they use real server numbers, real people numbers, the sentiment that individuals are used to write their own emails within the organization, and it looks so real that there is no way that anybody in the world would have able to pick it up. Then the email address was a little fishy and used some of the phishing techniques to make it look legit, but obviously, it was not. But when you look at the email content and the names of individuals and the server names and the permissions and the sentiment, it just could not be more real than, what LLM produced. And this is just one of a couple of other attacks that we have seen that actually using the new capabilities to make attacks a lot more sophisticated. Also, if we're on that topic, we've seen a lot of hackers using LLMs for coding and being able to, taking existing code base and just kind of adjusting it and improving it to create, different attacks in different scales and adding some additional capabilities to their different tools that they have. But this phishing attack, it's the real deal. If you would look at it, no man in the world would be able to figure out that this is fake versus real. It was so real that it was just scary.
Yeah, that is scary. Wow. So, okay, I want to change the topic just a little bit here, and I'd love to hear from you, Tom, about how you keep your team up to speed on sort of the latest trends in AI and what's going on.
You know what? This is a great question. And my biggest, AI is just moving so fast. Let me take a step back. AI is just moving so fast that before you can create content and classes to learn about AI, some of the data is already outdated. So you really, really need to be, curious about AI. And there are a lot of communities out there of people that are in the bleeding edge of technology. People like data scientists, engineers that are really, really excited about AI and what AI can bring into the table, and use a lot of the free time and make AI their hobby, even outside of the workspace. And tapping into those channels, interacting with those people, reading their content, I think that's what really makes the difference. And there is like all of those like LinkedIn influencers and all the other guys, those are not the ones to learn from. Like you have those like communities, and maybe I can share, some of them,
Yeah.
later. But if you go there and you read the content, and you make your experiments at home and you see what is working for you, what is not working for you, what is working for your industry, those are the things that make you, like that will allow you to take advantage of the technology at where it is right now. And there is no excuse of following the news, making sure you understand, reading a lot of research, and obviously getting your hands dirty and try a lot of the things in-house to see what is working, what is not working, and what fits the industry and the use cases that you try to solve. Because a lot of great models out there, a lot of great techniques. Some of them, unfortunately, are more suited to different problems than what we solve. And unless you try it and you fine tune it, and sometimes you train some of these different models, you would not be able to see the results that you would like to see and find the best models that would benefit your customers and prospects as part of your product.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to, if you share a community or two that you follow, it'd be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Would love. I will just pick up the best 2 or 3 and then share it
Yeah.
with you after. Um, Absolutely, would love to make a community service.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So, Tom, what advice would you give to someone who's like just getting in to AI, or specifically in security? Yeah, what advice would you give to somebody getting in, or somebody thinking about that field?
Don't get it. No, just kidding.
Choose something else. Too stressful.
Security is very stressful. You are like, people needs to understand it. It's like what we used to look at backup in the early days. When it's working, nobody appreciates you. When it doesn't work, you lose your job. So if you do your security job well, nothing happens, and that's great, right? But when unfortunately some things happens and you blink, or you're not able to catch something, then sometimes things goes wrong. So prepare yourself to be underappreciated. But that's good. I'm like, you able to learn and deal with a lot of very exciting, like different, like parts of the business. You're able to get access to a lot of interesting tools and capabilities and develop them really, really, really fast. So I think security is a great place to be when it comes to innovation, when it comes to really understanding how the business works and how not to disrupt the business, but how to be a business enabler and still keep the business secure. Because you lock down all the doors to the building, but then nobody can get in and out. Amazing. People
Right.
still get in and out to the office. So like physical security, we see that in cybersecurity. So if you're curious, you're patient, and you're not looking for consistent recognition, I think you might find security very interesting. And then there is a lot of classes out there, and there is a lot of things you can learn, but seriously combining them with just being curious and always keep up with what's going on, recent breaches, why did they happen, new adversaries, like better understanding their attack vectors, their tools, why they do what they do, and how organizations prevent them. That's super important. Like theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge together, that's what makes the best practitioner. And continuously stay on top of technology and enhancement. Like the landscape is changing all the time, both from an attacker perspective and a defender perspective. So if you're not curious and passionate about what you're doing, that could be a great, fresh out of school, working in security operation for 12 months to get something on your resume, then do something else. But if you really want to do security, go on YouTube, go to different communities, listen to podcasts, really stay in the latest and greatest, and just be be curious, and self-learning means a lot, as well as a classroom setup as well that can help you. But this continuous education that you always need to get, it's super important.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and I'm curious, Tom, how did you respond to this not getting recognition, but also having the stress and the risk associated with it? How do you deal with that?
It's a good question, and I feel for the practitioners out there and the security executives that they don't get the recognition. And one of the things that we do with our tool is we try to take all those tactical advantages and enhancements that we do with the analyst and try to bring them up into a dashboard that a security officer would be able to look and better evaluate your team better evaluate his team, and also for him to be able to project to the board and show how great they're doing and how they become more proactive, how they reduce the risk, and how in general the overall risk of the organization goes down. And that's thanks to the work that they're doing. And just being able to surface up those things to really get them to the point that they get some recognition. In cybersecurity, it's really hard to measure things, but we truly believe that with what we are doing and the way we surface things up, we able to show the value of how the team is doing and how it contributes to the organization, with the combination of AI, of course, and hopefully that will get them to get a lot more recognition than what they get today. Tough life, and when you start at the bottom, it doesn't even pay well. So I'm like, when you start going up the food chain, I think pay get a lot better. But starting, it's not easy in cybersecurity.
Very interesting. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. Do you have any final thoughts or questions?
Yeah, we need a lot more great practitioners in cybersecurity. So if you're curious, if you like cybersecurity, please jump in. It's scary to begin with, but the outcome is great. And, look at myself. Sometimes we end up even starting your own company. So, yeah, there is great potential out there. Just don't get scared by a couple of rough years at the beginning.
Yeah. I like that. Maybe they should come talk to you and get into cybersecurity through a company like yours instead of just being a practitioner. If they don't make
Our
money.
career page is always open. We're recruiting actively for few positions, and we obviously like to hire local talent. We're here in Texas. And yeah, absolutely. We really try to help as much as we can with defining and enabling the future practitioners and researchers of cybersecurity.
Yeah, I love that. Well, again, thank you, Tom. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. Was happy to be here. Thank you.